Hello everyone, welcome back to Black Cats TV, and we are live. No, we've not made another signing. That's not the reason for going live. Usually that's the case, but not this time. We're just here to catch up on the time off and go over all the signings, and we will have a guest joining us hopefully at some point. But how are you doing, Conrad?
I'm all right. The guest has just messaged saying, sorry, give me 2 minutes. So, yes, I'm good, though. How about yourself, mate?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Just, a week without football, you feel lost after you've waited so long for the season.
And we're both in goalie shirts. Look at this.
So,
well, mine could be Wolves. You don't know.
Yeah, I'm not 100% on that one.
Oh, I love it, especially after the save for 2 weeks ago now, or a week ago.
Yeah, it's just very yellow. I feel like the Black Cat's eyes.
It's very orange.
It's yellow orange. Yeah. Jazzy, anyway.
Yeah, nice.
Ian Brown was the first one in, says, all right, everyone. And the dog says, you were great on Eagle-Eyed Football. Big up, Conrad.
Oh, cheers, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, there's lots of big ups going on. I don't do the whole big up thing.
Well, they seemed very keen on it. So, yeah, big up to everyone from the Palace channel. It was good having me.
There we go.
It's nice to be good having me. That sounds like I'm being like, oh, you deserve to have me.
I kind of want to procrastinate a bit until our guest arrives because, I don't want him to miss anything. But
That'd be all right.
Fantasy football this week.
Yeah.
Have you made changes?
No, actually, I'll have a look on here. So I don't know if I'll get another transfer, actually. I know we were having did I catch you up at all? I felt like I was one day, and then the next day it seemed like we both got the same points, which was really annoying. What are you having a look?
No.
No, I've not made any changes, and I'm not going another one. So I've gone with Allison, Calafiore, Timber, Nori, Sensei, and I've got Mbuemo, Salah as captain, Grealish, and then I've got Chris Wood, João Pedro, and Ekitike, because I think Ekitike will start, Isak will not. He's only played 28 minutes. You've got Isak up top.
I've got Isak and triple captained him, so hopefully he does play against Burnley and just gets like 10 goals. Anyway, we must talk about football, and our guest will just have to join in as he does.
Yeah,
so, not really an agenda as such, but first, obviously, we have to talk about our transfer win. I heard a pop.
There he is.
It's the pop, and it is the one and only Michael Bowers. Yay!
Hello.
Hang on, that's right. Sorry, lads. It's been basically I finished work about 7, so I didn't get back till well after 8. So it was basically get in, dog walk, feed dogs, feed cats, get changed, come on here. So it's been a
well, what a legend you are for doing so.
But yes, I am here. How are you both doing?
Not bad, not bad. We were just kind of like padding for time until you arrived, kind of thing. So,
is Conrad trying to persuade you Dan Neal's mint?
Not anymore.
No.
I've given up on that one.
No,
if he can't even get in the team, then I have to I can't really argue it, can I? If he's not even playing.
Well, no, that is true.
Right.
Is true. I don't think he's a bad midfielder, but he doesn't get in a patch ahead of the 3 that start in the minute.
No, absolutely not.
Doesn't get in a patch ahead of the youth team for me. Anyway.
I like it. Was so great at youth, so to be fair, yeah, don't blame him. Go for it.
All our signings, obviously, I mean, we've had the most impressive transfer window we've probably had ever, potentially. Arguably in our history, definitely. As well as we're kind of a hiccup with this Chelsea player going back. But then another flurry of signings with Traore and Brobbey towards the end as well. What do you think, Michael? I mean, what's your impressions on who we've been bringing in? Because it's not just been like the regular model of a load of young players, older, experienced, loans. It's all over the place.
Yeah, it's a mixture of variety of different types of signings, isn't it? I mean, my first impressions of the window, I think it's definitely the most ambitious I've seen Sunderland be, because I know that I've often felt like the reason that we were so cautious with what we spent in the Championship was, and it's a risky strategy if you don't go up, but if you get promoted, then we're in a position PSR-wise to go and blow, for example, Leeds and Burnley out of the water, because they've obviously been in the Premier League a lot more recently, so they've had much more recent exposure of spending money in the Prem and had less wiggle room. But if you're asking me what my most impressive one, I mean, the obvious one for me is Granit Xhaka. But if you're looking at all, I mean, I still can't believe that I'm saying the sentence that Granit Xhaka plays for Sunderland. I don't think it. And actually, user like this. I remember it was Graham Falk of What the Falk who put this. That I think it was when we lost 5-1 at Arsenal under Lee Johnson in the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Xhaka, I think, came off the bench to play against us. Now, imagine if someone said to you, if you were in the Emirates that night or watching it, going, "Oh yeah, by the way, Granit Xhaka in 3.5 years' time will be signing for you." When we're still been in League One. Exactly, like Mike's laugh says it all. It's absolutely bonkers, isn't it? I mean, Xhaka, for me, is the one that obviously impresses me just for the level of experience that he brings and the fact he was, a Bundesliga winner 18 months ago, pretty much 18 months ago, just over a year ago.
Invincible.
And was obviously Sorry?
Invincible with the Bundesliga. They didn't lose a game all season in Bundesliga. They won the cup. Yeah. They lost in the final of the Europa League, so they nearly got an invincible treble that season as well.
No, absolutely. So I think there is that one. I think I'm someone who doesn't like to judge players too quickly, but from what I have seen so far, I think Habib Diarra looks the real deal. I think you can tell why he's our record signing, and I think that in a year or two's time, he'll probably move on to an elite level club if he progresses really well.
We'll be an elite level club by then, but yeah.
I suppose Mike could say he's already at one, but
he is. Yeah, of course he is. European qualifying this season, but I mean, he's impressive. But he's not been the most impressive, I don't think, on the pitch so far. For me, Reynaldo's been absolutely out of this world. He was one of the free ones as well. One of the older, experienced players. And he's just, what a motor he's got on him for his age as well.
He's 31. He's not ancient.
That's ancient in the Premier League.
It's not. Like, Jesus. Like, this thing,
but just
because I'm 35.
From Atletico Madrid.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was after? Well, I think it was the Sun or the Daily Mail. So I'm taking this with a pinch of salt. But apparently, I believe it was Crystal Palace and Nottingham Forest I saw being linked with him, and they're both in Europe. So I think by the way, if you see one of the dogs, you can see one of the dogs just peeping her head out on screen. So let's see if I can get her up. Luna, come on. There you go. She's coming to join.
Oh, that dog's all the wrong colours, Michael. I know, that's all the wrong.
He's a red and white dog.
That's the only bad thing about her. I mean, she's still a puppy. She's barely even a year old. You settle down, you little bugger. But no, to be fair, I mean, yeah. Look, obviously, I mean, Reynaldo's obviously was the level. Again, it's a bit similar to Xhaka in the way that the level of, obviously the signing experience for the sake of it, but then there's the level of experience. Art Luna's had enough. She's had enough experience of talking about how mint our squad is. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think with what Mike said, I think Reynaldo's looked really impressive. I'll tell you who another shout I think for, and I don't know if you've mentioned it before I came on, but Robin Roofs I think is quite an underrated signing compared to who we've made. I think, and I'm someone who was who's been a big fan of Anthony Patterson, but we needed an upgrade in the Premier League, in my opinion.
He's got that presence in the box already that Patterson was missing. He shouts for it. He goes for it. He lets you know that it's his ball. He lets the defenders know when they've effed up, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know what you two think, but I think whenever I've noticed his distribution, it's significant. From what I've seen so far, it looks significantly better. Most times, even when he's under pressure, when he kicks the ball out, it finds a Sunderland player more times than not.
Yeah,
obviously, look, he's still young. He's very young in goalkeeper terms, isn't he? But I think it's. Yeah, I'm really looking. I'm impressed with him so far. Obviously, he can save penalties, which is a pretty big help.
2 so far.
2, yeah, true. 1 competitively at least. So it's I'm very and Luna's now trying to get at the window. I might have to sort her out in a second. As you tell, on my part's going very well. But no, I'm a big fan. I like what I've seen from Robin Roofs, and I do feel a little bit for Patterson because without his saves in the playoff final, we wouldn't be where we are now. But
yeah, it's one of those things. Yeah,
but you've got to be ruthless, though, unfortunately, if you want to end up staying up. So, look, obviously, again, like I said, Roofs is very young in terms of goalkeeper terms, but from what I've seen of him so far, I'm amazed more clubs higher up the ladder. If what I've seen so far is anything to go by on his overall quality consistently enough, then I'm amazed more clubs higher up the pyramid than us didn't look at him.
Yeah, I mean, we must have some good scouts. Is anyone else been standout for you, Conrad?
Ooh, I think Alderete.
Give me 1 second, lads. I'm still listening. Go on.
Yeah, no bother, mate. Alderete's been one for me. I mean, when Seal had that game against West Ham, and we all said, "Oh, he's playing really well," but we knew the writing's on the wall. This guy's coming in for exactly that position, and probably will swap in for you. Obviously, got an assist. The thing that's impressed me the most about him and Nordy as well in the very little time we've seen him so far, they're horrible bastards. They really are. Like they're right. Like someone's
they're professional players, Conrad.
Someone's backing into them, and they're like elbow in the back, getting the yard. And then there was that moment against West Ham where he just took the ball down and spun a player and turned around and just did a little pass off this Alderete as well. And you just like just the sheer change in quality. And I know what Bowers was saying before about how I feel sorry for some of the players who played last season and got us here. But we had to make a decision of, are we...
How serious are we to staying up?
How do we want to do this? Are we going to keep playing them because they got us here and that's what matters, this sort of importance? Or are we going to go, actually, we've done our research on how teams stay up before, and one of the last ones to do it was Forest, and they did this or did a similar thing to this. We can still do that, but with all the money we've saved over the years. So, yeah, I have to go Alderete. Nordy's really good so far as well. They've against Brentford, it seemed like they were winning every aerial duel that came their way, and not just winning it, throwing themselves into it. Like it was life or death to win this header. Like, and that's all we ever want as Sunderland fans is commitment.
Nobody who's played in red and white yet feels like a flop. Even Talby had a bit of a weird first game, debut.
He got an assist in that first game, and then
but one or two passes were a bit astray. But
he's the one far that's the lowest of them all, but he's still been decent,
and he's still been threatening. We've not seen, of course, what's his name? I can not remember his name. What's his? Robbie. That's it.
Can I say I love how embarrassed Conrad looks right there?
we had how many 300, 400 people on our transfer video live, and I played it about 6 times. Right.
So are you happy we signed him, Mike, just so you can keep using that clip?
That is going to be through all the live streams and everything. If he scores, that's the celebration, honestly.
I just think he's an Altidore and just doesn't ever score. Like...
I'm writing to the BBC to try and get the license for the Blister Blobby song so we can play it as our new intro. But seriously, I mean... The pictures I've seen of him, what a unit he looks like. I know the YouTube highlight reels have to be kind of took with a pinch of salt because, I mean, they could make Bar look good. They could make, Pervader look like a professional. But what I've seen of him, he doesn't go down easy. He's an absolute unit, somebody for holding up the ball. Do you think he'll start straight away, Michael? Or do you think he's going to be a bench player? What we brought him in for?
I think at the minute we've probably... This is the hard one because you can't complain with Mayenda or Isidore starting. I think Isidore, I wouldn't personally start Isidore because I think his best impact is off the bench, and I think he'll be better in that scenario than it would be when starting. So the question is, but you could say Mayenda hasn't really, he hasn't had much service to work with, but when he had the minimum he has had to work with, he obviously got a header against West Ham and he had a great chance against Burnley that he should have scored. So I don't know. I think my answer to your question is yes and no. I'm very 50-50 on whether Mayenda... I don't think Isidore starts against Palace, for example, but I wouldn't be surprised if Mayenda or Brobby sort of... It's like 50-50 between them. The one thing I would say is this game might be quite handy for Brobby to come in because, I think this is definitely our toughest challenge we've had so far since coming to the Prem. Because remember, Palace are in Europe for a reason. They beat Man City in the FA Cup final for a reason. They've obviously got a really good team, and I think... Being at Selhurst in particular, they're obviously all going to come onto us. So when we're going to have to lump the ball forward or when Robin Roos might have to kick it out under pressure, it's vital. Brobby could be handy as a unit to have the ball. As long as his ball control is pretty good, then it might help bring others into play, relieve the pressure. So, it's a really hard question that because I was thinking myself who would start up front against Palace. So if I'm going to guess, I think screw it. Yes, I think you'll start on Saturday.
But I mean if Isidore or Mayenda had a terrible start to the season in the first 3 games, you'd be like, yeah, get him straight in. Yes, we signed a new striker and stuff like that, but they've done so well already. Conrad, where do you see him fitting in?
I think you almost have to start him against Palace because of the home game afterwards. We don't want to be dropping him in that game almost thinking our home form's going to be what what really gets us over the line.
You don't want to rely on home points, do you? You need to try and get stuff away from home.
I sort of feel like we've got to play him straight away. Although I was probably in the camp of, I think if we hadn't got Brobby and he wasn't available, that Isidore should start, because he's really maximised his minutes so far, and he's given us that option as well of he's running the channels on the left side when we're trying to get out, rather than just being the focal point up front. Because as we've seen with Mayenda, who's done well, we're not getting the ball to that focal point very easily. And when you're just stood in the sort of middle of the defence, it's not coming to you. So Isidore's having to do a lot more work to get around, and he's clearly doing that and reaping the rewards from it. He was dreadful in the first half against Huddersfield, but then they all were. And then when we moved him out to the left side in the second half, he found his sort of freedom again. It was like, that's right, you're better in this sort of scenario. It's a tough headache for Labrie, I think, this week. And I hate the phrase free hit, because there's no such thing in the Premier League for us there. But if you were going to play Brobby in a game and just sort of go, right, this is the time you all need to figure out how he plays in this match, and against a back three, not a back four, as we'll see with lots of teams, I think this is where you put him in. And they're a physical team with, I think it's Lacroix, Richards and Gahey, and Munoz when he drops in as well. Mitchell, not so much on that side. So the right side's probably better for us. We're going to need someone to bully them. And I think Brobby instantly is beating Isidore and Mayenda into that sort of physicality aspect of the game.
Just go to the chat so we don't miss a few comments. Ian Brown says, free agent Reinildo is the best signing in my opinion as well. Paul Graham said, hi everyone, thank you for your message, Michael. It meant a lot, mate.
Anytime,
having a bit of a rough time trying to get a job, mainly office work. Having friends like you guys is priceless. Excellent. Love to see it. Steve says, love Xhaka's calm, decisive style, and Roofs looks mint too. Ian says, Nordy looks like a drug dealer, and I love that. Did you see him celebrating seeing Roofs save that penalty?
Can I just mention about Nordy? And so when I was saying before about how Alderete and Nordy are horrible, like, Nordy against Huddersfield got tackled by someone, and the first thing he did was he stood right up right there, and I was like, mate, it's 2 divisions lower, Huddersfield, but that was just his passion. And it happened again on the Brentford game. Someone flattened him, and he just got straight up and was marching over and going, and I'm like, this is it. We've got some nasty people in our team, which is what we're going to need in a lot of physical games. And Alderete barging into the back of them, and Mukiele throwing people almost. There was one point he fell over, got up, and still went and clattered someone to give away a free kick when we thought he'd rolled his ankle in the.
Bring on the mags.
Yeah, I'm just a bit like that's one thing we've sort of needed, is that nastiness, I think, and Xhaka is more than capable of that. We haven't seen it so far, but he hasn't needed to. I think Diarra and Siddique look like they could be horrible to play against. Reinildo's obviously a Simeone player.
We've missed that with the youth team, haven't we? I mean, whereas we've enjoyed 09 shithousery, jumping on people and kissing people and stuff, but it's not the same as having a Lee Catamol fighting with everyone, or a Phil Bardsley who's going to have your back no matter what. It's not been the same like that, which I do like it, and I think that comes with experience and a bit of age as well.
And to be honest, I think it's going to help winners a fair few points this season. This nastiness and this game, especially the game management side of it from Xhaka, is going to be a real important sort of role for us. Yeah,
definitely. I did want to ask you as well what you thought of this Bertrand Traore, if I'm saying that right. I never say a name right.
I think
Only because, obviously, I mean, he was at Chelsea originally, came up through them. He played for their youth, I believe, at one point as well, but then into the senior team. But his last stint in the Premier League was with Villa, and he didn't have that much game time with them. So, I mean, I don't know if that was down to injury or what, but do we think he's got it for the Premier League, or is he one of these players that keeps coming back and doesn't quite cut it in this division?
I don't know. I think that's... With Traore, I mean, how much did we pay for him in the end? Was it 2.5 to 3 million?
2.5 to 3, yeah, something like
2. I've got it down as 2.5 here.
Yeah, that would sound about right. I think with Traore, it's a weird one because that for me feels like it's a punt that's probably worth taking. In that, if he doesn't end up succeeding with us, then we haven't really missed out on very much financially. Mm-hmm. And obviously, if he places, if say for example he scores one goal that turns out to get us a point that keeps us up, then it's worth having the £3 million spent. So I don't know what season did he play for Villa? Do you know?
I know there's one season.
23-24.
Didn't he play
Oh,
in
okay, so I thought
20
it was much
or
better
he
back
played
than
in
that.
20 and 21 for Villa, or
He
21,
played
22?
He played 20 to 22 altogether.
Yeah.
Then I think he was loaned out to a Super League club. Then he came back 23 to 24. But he had like 5 league appearances. No, 2 league appearances.
The COVID season, the 20 to 21, I'm sure he got like 7 goals and 14 assists for Villa in the Premier League, and was like a really big like return. I might be a few out on that one, but he definitely had a really good season, which is what sort of everyone was sort of holding on to. And then as Villa stayed in the Premier League, and Gerrard came in and Unai Emery started to be phased out of it. But Michael's right, it's a very low risk sort of thing. We've got him on a 1-year deal for under 3 million for a player that can play on the right hand side, where we've just let Roberts go, and we've got Talby who's not quite hit the ground running yet, but is still a threat. We still needed a competition for a place for him, and sort of made sense just to give it a go.
Dingra can play over there as well.
That's more what I would probably do after seeing the Brentford game. I'd probably put a Dingra out on the right, especially up against Mitchell for Palace, and then put Enzo out on the other side and be sort of clever, technical on that side.
My only problem with Enzo is he's not very physical. He looks like he backs out of some potential 50-50s because he's quite a small guy.
He threw himself into some of the Brentford ones. Do you not see that one where he like smashed someone for a throw in the first half?
Yeah, but it's not all the time. It's not consistent. It's
but
weird
I don't think
because
that either. He's not going to throw himself in on people like that.
At the end of that season, when we went up, and we'd obviously got the obligation to buy Lafay, I thought that was going to be our signing. That was going to be our big signing. And now he struggles to get into my starting 11.
I think Enzo is in ahead of Talby, if you were to ask me at this point. I think Enzo left and Adingra right is what I'm thinking. But, other people have different opinions, of course, and that's based on what I saw in the second half against Brentford, for the whole game against Brentford for Enzo, of course. But I think Adingra was a threat when he came on, and Michael, was down your side of the stadium, really, so you'll have seen a bit more close hand on Adingra in the second half. But I thought Enzo running in behind still had the pace, and he held off whoever it was who was holding on to him to lay it back for Xhaka. It's not like he sort of went, "Oh, I've been touched," and down I go. He still held him off, rolled the ball back to Xhaka, and Xhaka quickly whipped it in. So I think he's more than capable. We don't forget he did play in Italy, which is a physical league, and played in Europe. I'm sure he can hold off a few players if he needs to, and dive when he wants to.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, to be fair, I think a lot of it for Saturday depends on, and I think all of them will offer this, but who offers the most work rate off the ball? That's the thing. That's what, for me, it comes down to with the wingers, whether it's going to be Talby and Lafay, or whether it's going to be Adingra and Lafay, or Lafay and Talby, or whatever combination he goes with, will probably be the one that gives us the most work rate off the ball. Because, as you know, a lot of the players we've recruited for, and the way Reggie sets us up, is to be out of possession, but when we have it, be quick in transition and attack that way. But to do that, when we don't have the ball, we're going to have to be working our backsides off when we don't have it, because obviously, again, Palace are right. For example, Palace, if you compare Burnley to Palace, for example, the 2 away games we're going to have had, it's chalk and cheese, with all due respect to Burnley. Palace is obviously much more established. They've obviously got themselves into Europe again. They beat Man City in the FA Cup final, so it's going to be a real challenging one. So I think that's what I think Regis will do. It'll be whoever's had the biggest work rate. But another thing as well is, am I right in thinking Lafay didn't go away during the international break?
No, he didn't. No.
Right, and did Talby? I know Adingra did, but I don't know whether
Talby did, because I think they said Morocco qualified and he was part of it. So I don't know if he played while he was out there, but he was there, I think.
Oh, okay, so it could even be down to that. It could be Adingra might be on the bench because he's played during the international break. So, or he might be trying to convince Ahmad to come back. Who knows? Because you see the pictures of them together. But either way, so it could be down to something as simple as that. But Conrad is right. I did see Adingra off the bench down my side in the Brentford game, and I think Adingra straight away just brought that extra bit of spark and a bit of fresh energy, really.
He looked
Yeah,
almost
definitely.
angry that he hadn't played in a weird way. Like, because he'd done, I don't think he did anything. He did great against West Ham. I don't think he did anything wrong against Burnley. And if you were going to drop one of Talby or Adingra to put Enzo in, I would have dropped Talby, but obviously moved Adingra
Yeah.
out. And it felt a bit like, oh, you've dropped him. And everyone always talks about Adingra being the one that's like, if you can get him working, you've got a star that, again, like a Diarra one that in a few years' time might be moving on, of course, but everyone talks about him like that. So I don't know if there was a little bit of like, I'll show them that I shouldn't have been the one that dropped. Not like I'm kicking me toys out the pram. It's the third game, but do you know what I mean? Of like,
But
That's
to prove a point as to
I
why
need
he
to prove
shouldn't have
a
been
point
dropped.
early that it shouldn't be me.
Well, I mean, that's the best thing about the squad depth and the quality we've got even
yeah.
sat on our bench now, that every player coming off the bench should have that attitude. I mean, the best thing I think about our team at the moment is last season, you can look at games and the midfield may as well have not been there. It was non-existent. This midfield are battling for every single ball. We're defending from the midfield. We're attacking from the midfield. Everything's going through the midfield, and they've really got a really good work rate. As much as I say Enzo's not strong in some challenges and backs out, he does track back, and he tracks back with pace, and he will make up for it each time. The last
Shout out
one,
to DK being amazing as well.
yes,
What a
I mean,
terrier.
yeah, I mean, his heat map is just the entire pitch,
Yeah, it's
same
just
as
a red
Ronaldo. The last one I want to talk about, because obviously we've gone through the other players previously on the channel, is this, I'm going to mess this up again, Gertrude.
Gertrude.
Yeah, so for a loan signing, I think that's a bit of a coup getting him on loan. He's was recently a 35 million euro rated player. When he was at Leipzig, his value's dropped in the last 2 seasons, but he's still a £20 million player, and we've got him on loan. Is he going to straight replace Hume? Can Hume keep up with a player like this quality? What do you think, Conrad?
I hope so, because I love Hume and I think he's fantastic. But you start to look at him now as one of the only existing members of that team and go, how long can you keep going? Like, you know, and I hope you do, because you're brilliant. I don't know. I don't think it's the time to change the defence. I know he had to make changes against Brentford because of Ballard's injury and Sealt going out and Nordy coming in. But I think the way that game went, I'd almost go, now we stay the same. It's Roofs, Hume, Nordy, Alderete and Renildo. We're not changing it now. And, you know, if it doesn't go well, that's when you can start to look at Gertrude. Have we got an obligation or was it an option to...
Option, I think.
I think it was an option, yeah.
Yeah. There's an option on him. But and again, he's one of those ones where people have gone, how have they got him? Like, you know, and obviously not to the same level as Xhaka. So it's really nice when you sign a player and no one goes, never heard of him. They all go, what? How have you done that? Like, I just, like you saw, I just did that.
That's why.
Yeah. Well, I just did a Crystal Palace show, and they were like, "How did you get Xhaka? Where did that even come from?" And it's just, you know, like I was sitting there going, "I don't know. It's amazing."
But that's another one, yeah. I mean, correct if I'm wrong. Didn't is it Gertrude? I'm just going to say that until Nick Barnes or someone pronounces it, and then it's their fault if it's wrong. But I think with Gertrude, it's funny because I remember I think there was a tweet from Fabrizio Romano that I think was like a year ago. I think it was last summer, and I think it was a tweet strongly linking him with like elite level clubs like PSG. I think Bayern might have been mentioned in it. I could be wrong, but there were some top draw European clubs that were in for him a year ago. So. He mustn't have had the best of times at Leipzig, else we wouldn't have been able to get him. But that's exactly the sort of deal we like to do, where you get top draw talent that maybe have lost their way a little bit, but still always have it, and we give them the, well, I guess rehabilitation centre to some degree.
We just give them the platform to present themselves, really, don't we? It's. I don't want to say it like this, but I remember when Wigan were in the Premier League, and they used to get in people like Rodallega, Palacios, Valencia, and they were like, will be your stepping stone to your next move. And I'm not hoping that's how we're telling it to people, because I obviously want them to stay and us to grow. But you can turn to the likes of Gertrude, you can turn to the likes of Nordy and go, look, you fell on some hard times. We believe in you. Come here and show them what you're missing, and then we'll see where it goes. And then it benefits us in the long run when we sell them for, any more, and then we use that money again to reinvest it in somebody else.
Well, that's it, because like Jack Clarke and Patrick Roberts are probably the two of the best examples of that recently, where Jack Clarke in particular was one who went from every club under the sun, didn't perform, then had to drop, and like with Roberts, had to drop down to League One for us. So us getting Clark and Roberts in League One, for example, is probably that level's version of getting Xhaka in the Premier League for us. Because if you look at it, Xhaka and Patrick Robertson in League One was pretty, and even Alex Pritchard to a lesser degree, was an absolute cheat code that we really shouldn't have been able to get at that level. But if you
we had all three of them at once.
Well, exactly, yeah. Well, yeah, it was all three of them in the same season, wasn't it? So, that comes back to the point. Because we've probably built that reputation up, it gets us... it wouldn't... Right, okay, I'm not saying we're going to get him. But if someone like, I don't know, Marcus Rashford, who lost his way a lot with the Man United sort of culture and everything else, it wouldn't shock me if we got someone who's on like a really high level, but has just really lost their way in recent times if we stay up, of course. But you are right. I mean, to get true to, like I've said, I'm with you. I mean, I'm a big fan of Trey Hume. I really hope that he does keep it up. But another thing is that, again, it makes him keep his standards high, doesn't it? So, and that's exactly what you want. And we know we are going to have to fight for every point that we're going to get this season to stay up. So, the more quality competition, and particularly the quality mentality that we have in that dressing room, the better.
No, I agree.
Sorry about that. There's a spider the size of my hand crawled up the wall in front of me. So
we're not having a look with animals, are you? You were spiders.
You brutally murdered it.
So.
No, I've give it a nice home for life. I just want to make sure we don't lose the comments and stuff like that. So the derby will be pure cinema on with all the shithousery players. I think.
Full Martin Scorsese
there. Signing Traore is giving us the ability to spend in Jan if needs be. I'm not sure about that. To see what money's left. I need to speak to the head of marketing. This only just popped up on my PH20 odd mins in. All right, okay.
You mean phone 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, you need to. YouTube's fun like that. Two left guy is wrong on Enzo. I'm wrong on Enzo. Okay.
Top left, right? I get it now. Top left guys wrong on Enzo. Yeah.
Well, for 90 minutes versus Egypt with Burkina Faso, I read.
Does that mean we can ask Traore when you go into Egypt?
Egypt.
When you go into Egypt, it's over there.
So funny how Brown believed he deserved a chance in the Prem when he couldn't even get in the Championship squad.
To be fair, he probably would have offered a hell of a lot behind the scenes, to be fair, Brown, last year. Remember, his experience would have been quite important. But let's be honest, he wasn't, like, I know Mike doesn't like him, but he wasn't going to get in ahead of Dan Neil, Chris Rigg, and Joe Bellingham, was he?
I don't mind Brown. I quite like Brown.
No, he meant...
No, I'm not. I like Brown. My point. No, I mean, as in you don't like Dan Neil, but at the end of the day, he wasn't. At the end of the day, in Reggie's size, he wasn't going to get in ahead of Neil, Bellingham, or Rigg, was he? So,
Can I just put it out there? I don't dislike Dan Neil. He's been a boyhood fan of the club since he was young, and he's a good player. He's been a good servant at the club. He's just not a Premier League player yet. Maybe he will become one. But it is
what we said before, though. It's that thing about it is a shame that some of these players that came up with us, that we couldn't see them have a go in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? And he's obviously voicing his frustrations about that thing. I'll get a match or two, and it's like we said, he didn't even get in the Championship team, so that wasn't going to happen. Roberts got half an hour against Burnley,
yeah.
And that was it. And I think, is he the only one that's sort of really come on apart from that? Chris Rigg got a couple of minutes against West Ham on the opening day, but apart from that, it's Isidore, Mayenda, Ballard, and Hume are the only ones getting.
We're saving them all for AFCON. That's why.
Yeah.
Well, the good thing, I could be wrong on this, but I think the first game of AFCON is
it's after the derby.
Well, I was going to say, I think it's like a week after the Newcastle game, so it's around the time we play Brighton. I think it's the 21st of December, but obviously players will travel with squads for a few days before then. But I do, if I'm right, we should have them for the Newcastle game, which I am mightily relieved.
I think we'll be making sure we do have them for that game, and then be like, look, we'll even pay them first class just afterwards. Once we've beaten the Mags, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll pay an extra $2 million. That's fine, as long as we beat Newcastle on the 13th of December.
And when someone put in the chat before about the money thing if Traore, I think it's more, if we need any more signings in January, we're more than likely going to see one of our assets being sold, i.e. like Patterson or Neil, for money at that point. That's more so what I would
We've not had all that much outgoing, really, have we? Obviously, we had
Two big
Job and
3 Equar as well for 6 mil.
yeah, and Equa as well.
Equa, Watson, Bellingham.
Yeah, but we've not had loads go out. Is the money left in January? Because somebody was saying to me, Sunderland's problem is they've spent everything now, and come January, if something's not working, other teams can then bolster that position. Sunderland will only be stuck with potentially getting a loan player or something like that. Do you think that's the case, or do you think the coffers have still got something in there?
I think there would still be something in it. Well, here's the way you look at it when you talk, because I wanted to make an effort this summer to try and understand a bit about how PSR actually works. And long story short, in case anyone doesn't want to be bored, basically with PSR, when you sell a player, all the money you get from the sale of that player goes onto that financial year's accounts. When you buy a player, you're spreading the cost over the length of a player's contract. So, for example, Habib Diarra, what was it, 30 million quid? It was like 35 million. Yeah. 35 million euros, which is roughly 30 million quid. Yeah. So basically, we'd be just paying £6 million this financial year towards his transfer. Whereas if you look at Joe Bellingham as an example, we got, 33 million euros, which if I'm right, is just under 28 million pounds. But bear in mind, Birmingham get 15%, don't they? So I think so you're talking roughly just over 4 million. So you're getting 23.5 million originally, not including the add-ons or the future sell-on clause you get for Job. But so that, for example, would pay towards the first instalment for Diarra, Siddiqui, Xhaka, Robbie probably, and then maybe Traore if you wanted to put it out there. And then you've got the 10 million from Watson, the 6 million from Equa. That covers a lot of the other ones. So I would suspect that what we would probably end up doing is we would either go for a really high-profile loan, or we would maybe try and push the boat out for maybe one. I think there probably is enough wiggle room in there for maybe one or two, but obviously we do have to bear in mind you don't want to create PSR problems for yourselves 2-3 years down the line either.
What worries me is if you look at like previous seasons, over the last few seasons, no matter what division we've been in at the time, we've been the lowest spender when it comes to wages. And I know we're probably still not up there with the top wages in the Premier League, but our wage bills massively increased. I did find this. I don't know how accurate it is, because other sites haven't quite got anything on there yet. But let me just pop this on the screen here. This is salaryleaks.com. And our current wage bill yearly is 49.6 million. They're saying Xhaka's on 90k, Nordy's on 90k, 77, 75. We scrolled compared to the previous players. Sirkin 10 grand, Patterson,
yeah, you can see a massive drop, can't you?
Yeah, and so I mean, you look, it's all our new signings. Even Mundell, I think Mundell's on more now.
See, I thought
some of these will be like
there was rumours at the time that Reinildo was on nearly 60 grand, and there he's down as 35. So obviously pinch of salt with them, but I think that's why, because again, free transfers can almost dictate their price. Really, because they don't have,
Yeah.
Allegedly, the green tick is a verified source for Xhaka, Enzo Lafay, and Talbi.
Yeah, that makes sense on all of them. And like you say, Masuaku there, we've got him for a season or two, but he's on 35 because he's a free transfer. It's sort of like you don't have to pay the other club. We just have to worry about him wanting to come.
Yeah, so we talk about like, that money can pay for the first instalment, and that's this, but the wages we've got to cover now in comparison to what we've done season upon season for a club that wouldn't replace hand dryers at one point. How sustainable is this?
But isn't this the thing of probably why we sell a new retro jacket every other month? But also, we don't get the playoff money until the end of this financial year, something like that. It comes in at the end of next year, so that's 210 million back in. Wherever we finish in the Premier League, we'll get money for that position. If we end up staying in the Premier League, we'll obviously get more TV money for the following season as well. And if we tend to do all right, you'll probably have a few more games on telly and get a bit more from it as well. So there's still income coming in, but that's why I think it's been this real push to stay in the Premier League, because it's going to sort of not dig us out the hole, because it's not a hole, but it's going to sort of completely sort of eradicate like a big section of this, and we'll go, oh great, well we just got all that money back in. I'm not saying that means, hey, we can spend another 150 million next year, but it just eases that position of, well, actually, we can name our price if Patterson is demanding a transfer or a fee from other clubs. We can then go, actually, what we need is, I don't know. I'm trying to think of a position now. The right mid didn't really work out. Well, let's go and try another one at 25 mil. We can do that,
And there's another thing as well, that if you look at signing Mayenda, Rig and Hume down till 2030, it could be that we see some of them as assets that, even if they don't get in the first team, they're assets worth that we could sell for a huge amount of money. That also is another bit of money coming in. It's like, for example, if you look at, and I know they've been compared quite a lot, but if you look at, say, Brighton and Brentford, one of the reasons for me that they've been able to stay in the Premier League so much is that they've known when to sell at the right time. Now, I've got my concerns about Brentford if they're going to score enough goals, because they've sold Mbeumo and Wissa, didn't they, in the same window. But when they were both in the last year of their contract, they still got around 120 million combined. That's the sort of thing, for example, if, say, Diarra, for example, who's on, and this is why, for me, signing players on 5-year contracts is actually really, really important, because if, say hypothetically, we stay up this season, and then say Diarra stays with us again for another year, and we're all right next year, and we consolidate, then imagine if then Diarra's worth so much money in 2 years' time, and he's still got 3 years left at that point. You could still command a significant fee, which then comes in, and with PSR, it's wipes the slate clean. It helps you stay ahead of the game, really, and then that's on top of getting the TV money and the Premier League money if you manage to stay in it. The flip side, of course, is if you go down, then we've got enough of these guys to be assets to be able to offset that. So I do trust that we believe that now there is a plan. And like Mike said, we didn't replace hairdryers at one point, or we didn't even want to go for Kiefer Moore, really. But he got us promoted in the end, so it was all right.
Yeah, he delivered the goods in the end, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. But the point is, like, that's one of the reasons I think we didn't go ridiculous on wages in the Championship, because that's now gave us the scope to go in and vastly increase the wage bill. Whereas, again, I'll be interested to see what Leeds and Burnley's, I think Leeds' wage bill, for example, was at 2-3 times maybe the size of ours last season. So
there was an article going around on X the other day, I think on Leeds once, but it probably got picked up by Sunderland Twitter as well, about how Leeds fans were like, well, why can Sunderland spend so much more than we can? And it was exactly that point of, well, Sunderland are one of the only teams in recent years that have gone up without spending money. Teams have had to throw money to try and get promoted, or they've come down with huge money anyway and had to really go for it, because if they didn't, they'd be in a financially terrible position and almost had to go. And we've managed to get up there with less than 12th highest wage bill in the Championship. Yeah. Our highest signing was 3 million on
Isidore, wasn't it?
Isidore with 4 mil in the end. I don't know what he turned out to be. And then, like you say, as soon as the game leveled up, we went, right, 30 million Diarra, 20 million Enzo. We had this room, because for 4 years we've made sure we were clever in picking up free transfers with sell-ons and percentages, rather than sort of splashing the cash and going, it didn't work. Oh, well, now we're stuck paying for them, when actually the goal is to get there and spend the money then.
I think if you remember as well, like the year before last, in the year we tried to forget the Mowbray Dodds Beale thing, but that year we sold Ross Stewart for 10. Then last year we sold Clark for 15 to 20. Yeah. So if you and by the way, last financial year we probably ended it in profit if you look at it that way, because if you're looking at selling Jack Clark, Joe Bellingham, and Tommy Watson all within the same 12 months, I think. I don't know when the financial year, if it ends at the end of June or the end of July, and then it resets again for the following year. But if, say, for example, it ended in June, Joe Bellingham would have had to have been registered for Dortmund. Well, hello, Luna, you all right? She's wanting to get involved in the conversation. No, Joe Bellingham would have had to have been registered for Dortmund, wouldn't he?
Because of the Club World Cup, they did it early, so I don't quite know how it worked. I think that was just a transfer window thing, but I think it's the start of June is when a lot of the things sort of kick in.
Oh, okay. Well, even if that's the case, though, you sold Jack Clark for, what was it? Well, it was 15 million originally, wasn't it? Right.
We were all fuming with 15.
Yeah, well, I still think we could have got a bit more personally, but it worked out all right. But the point I'm making is that if it was, say, 15, remember Spurs get a quarter of that, so you're getting just over 11 million quid. But that money coming in, and that whole PSR financial year again, pays for Lefay's loan, which I believe was like around $1.5 million or whatever it was, if you include or factor in all his wages. Isidore loan until the permanent one. Then obviously the second year of Mayenda. It all adds up. It all adds to what it was. So that's the reason why we've been able to do what we've done, not just on transfer fees, as Conrad alluded to, but wages as well. Because you look at it, I mean, I can't imagine I mean, before the fee came in, what would our highest wage earner have been? Probably 20k at best, maybe.
Ballard, I think, on his new contract.
Didn't Dak had like 15k when he was on, and because I remember at the time we wouldn't pay Pritchard an extension, even though he was doing all right for us, but we had Bradley Dak and we were paying him like 3 times as much as Pritchard, yet Pritchard was 3 times the player.
And by the way, that's why Tony Mowbray's not in charge of transfers at Sunderland.
Yeah.
I love the guy, but that's why you're not on there.
People are commenting here. Ian Brown said, plus we bid 60 million for Fatu and Lukumi, and only spent 24.5 million of it. So there's obviously money still there.
You've just got to be clever with it.
And I think Sunderland will have financial side. So I've no doubt we've got the financial side sorted and thought about this. It's just good to talk through it because that's what other people are saying to us as fans as well. Like, oh, you've no money left, or you can't do this.
But remember, apparently we were already 24 points behind Leeds and Burnley, so we had to spend this much. Well, yeah, I was going to say that was another thing we kept hearing. Like, oh, well, Sunderland finished 24 points behind Leeds and Burnley. Luton finished well behind Burnley and Sheffield United the year they went up, and although all 3 went back down, Luton finished ahead of the 2 of them. So, it's a new season. It doesn't matter.
Well, speaking of the season so far, 3 games, 2 wins, 1 loss. If I said to you we start the season 6th in the league and the other team in the North East are down 17th, I think you'd have bit my hand off. I know we're only 3 games in, it's early doors, but it's still a lovely picture to see.
If we're here after game week 38, then get your passports ready.
Right, but it is still a lovely picture to see. But I mean, my worry now is we had a really confident game, we had a bad game, and we had a scrappy win, in my opinion, the 3 games. And it's the Burnley one that makes me worry. It feels like old Sunderland where we play to the level of the team we're playing. So we play the likes of City and Liverpool and we'll really go for it. We might not win or we might get a draw, but we'll really great performance. We play against a lesser team and we seem to perform less. And that's really worrying that that's still a thing with a whole new team. What do you guys think of the Burnley game in that as the odd one out in them 3 games we've played so far?
Well, it was crap because I was there. I wasn't.
Your fault, Michael.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, okay, in advance, I'm not going on Saturday, so I might win. But just to warn you, I'm going to Forest, guys, so prepare for a loss there. All right, I'll tell you what then. I'll throw it in this way to sort of try and ease Mike's nerves a bit. I think with Burnley, look, I think it was a really poor result, and I stand by that. I still stand by, I think Burnley will finish bottom. I still think Burnley will go down. But if you factor in their first few games, I believe, I can't remember exactly what it was, but off the top of my head, I think it was Tottenham, then Sunderland, then Man United. Okay, look, I know Man United are crap compared to what they used to be, but it's still Man United. It's not a game Burnley would have earmarked as one that they get something out of. Then I think after that, no particular order, I think they've got it's Forest, Man City, I want to say Liverpool maybe, and then maybe Bournemouth. Like, there's a lot of teams they had that are like right up there at the start of the season. So for them, the Sunderland game is the one they would have gone, yes, we absolutely need to win that game. So I think it was, although it was a huge game for us, and I'm not particularly a believer in the whole, oh, well, it was Burnley have just been promoted. Well, so have Sunderland. Like, so it shouldn't really have, it shouldn't have been as much of a factor. But I do think that did play a factor in how big a game it was for them. And that's another point, by the way, as Gary's just mentioned, like, put it this way, Burnley's level second half against us, I think, is probably the best level they'll get majority of the season, if you know what I mean. I think we're going to have scope to be better because a lot of these lads seem to be really top players. As Conrad said, a lot of the reaction from Fabrizio, for example, when he tweeted something, and it's funny how Fabrizio Romano was basically our own national press reporter, basically, but which is something I never thought I'd have at the start of the window. But when he tweeted something about a player, it was more like, how Sunderland got him. Sunderland are cooking. So the point is, if we've got all these players that apparently are top players that people can't believe we've got, and they're still a gel together, I think we will improve I'd like to hope we'll improve as the season goes on. But I think for Burnley, to get back to the point, Burnley was it was disappointing, obviously, but I think Palace, for example, won't see us the way that Burnley saw that game. Because Palace they'll obviously say Palace will be like, well, we need to be beating Sunderland if we want to be successful this season, but it's not like if we don't win Sunderland, we're screwed. You know what I mean? Whereas I think
Yeah,
Burnley did. I don't know what Conrad thinks, but that's how I think Burnley saw that game against us a couple of weeks back. As much as we were disappointed.
They knew they couldn't afford to have a slow start. They actually played well against Tottenham and had equal amount of opportunities
the
as
score
them,
flat Spurs, didn't it?
but it was like you say, it really flattered Spurs. And they played well, and they did well on the counter. And they weirdly, you would not think they would do that at home. You thought they'd probably come out, try and attack us and get the crowd on side and do that. But they did the opposite, especially in that second half. They sat in and waited for us to try and, break them down, which is what we're famously terrible at doing in any league that we've been in the last, 10 years or so. And then they sucker punched us twice and sort of got away with it. We didn't look like we were creating anything in that game. That we didn't really have that much sort of creative spark. Enzo came on and tried and was probably rightly then put in for the Brentford game, because I think we actually we probably should have started you if that was the what you were giving us. And yeah, Burnley, I think, have had a bit of a raw end of the deal in the fixtures so far. But again, this is why we need to sort of, absolutely. That's exactly where I was coming up to.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That didn't help either.
If Ballard had been on with Alderete, I don't I was very critical of that first goal where Sealt didn't come out to the player on the ball and just stood there and then put his arms behind his back, and he let him move like 2 meters in and then used the ball to bend around him, and then was stood 2 meters deeper than everybody else and just didn't, and still got outran by Granit Xhaka trying to get back for the ball. Like, he had a great game against West Ham, but he kind of was at fault for the goal against Burnley. And obviously that's when the writing was on the wall and we needed Nordy, and then Ballard's injury thankfully isn't too bad. But if Ballard stays on, probably it's a different game. I'm not saying we win, but it's a different game.
Does Ballard get back into your squad now, though?
Certainly not for Saturday, I wouldn't think. You got to remember he's still going to be coming back from injury, isn't he? And on top of that,
not for Saturday, but in general.
Well, I was going to say, and on top, this is this conundrum you want, isn't it? Though, and on top of that, Nordy and Alderete. Okay, look, Brentford. I think Palace will be better than Brentford, but still, they played really well against Brentford, and they looked like quite a seamless partnership, which is really weird considering that was the first time they played together for us. So. But you are right. I think one thing that also might be quite handy, and this is why I wouldn't be totally surprised against the likes of Villa. Villa to a degree, but away from home, like against your Palace and your Forest and Man United as well. It wouldn't shock me if we did better in these games, because Burnley, like Conrad said, Burnley didn't really come onto us all that much if you think about it. And I think they obviously had the disallowed goal in the first half. Then obviously they went 1-0 up, and then that was suited to their game plan, wasn't it? So for me, Palace are... can either of you seen Palace sitting back at home against a newly promoted team?
A few of the Palace fans I spoke to said that's their game, is a very sort of methodical, sort of like counter sort of game. But if both teams are going to do it, how does that sort of work? They kind of have to come out and try and beat us. I think we've just got to be a bit more stubborn than they are if we're going to have a...
this sounds like a commentary dream. Both teams just sat back, the ball sitting on the centre circle.
Just imagine you both just sitting there going, and Palace are saying to Sunderland to get the ball back. Sunderland are going, no, we don't want it. You keep it. No, why are you giving us the ball? We don't want to do anything with this. Yeah, have it back. No, you have it back.
Premier League hot potato.
To be fair, look, don't get me wrong, on Saturday, if that was the case all game and it was the most boring 0-0 ever, I'd still take it, though, because I think a point at Palace is very good.
And then I think they were saying Saar might be injured for them. Wharton is definitely injured.
I know he's out for a couple of weeks, I think, Wharton, isn't he?
But then they've got that new lad on the left side. I can't remember his name, but it begins with P, who they all said is absolutely unreal. So we'll have to wait and see.
Got Mateta up front as well.
Yeah, he's going to be a handful.
So yeah, I think. But to be fair, I do think the onus will be on Palace more to come at us at home. Mm-hmm. So I know even if that is their game, but I would think that the manager and the players would probably see this game as one they need to be winning for what they want to achieve, if they want to achieve, say, a top half finish this year, or if they want to make a good fist at maybe trying to get into Europe again. So it just all depends, really. So I could see us doing better in games like this, or even say Forest as an example. I know they've just appointed Posologu today, I think it is, isn't they? But like they would probably come on to us. Man United at home again.
Forest will now definitely attack us now that we go there, rather than being a bit more. They still attacked under Nuno, but in a very clear, direct sort of way with the 2-10s and the balls into Wood, whereas Postecoglou throws everyone onto the halfway line. So that's when we've got to be on our counter game perfectly against Forest.
If you're on it, that suits us brilliantly.
Yeah.
And that's where I think those teams will have. I'm not saying Burnley didn't have anything of a go. Hello, Sansa. I'm not saying Burnley didn't have anything of a go at us, but I think these teams will have more of a go at us than Burnley. Certainly, for likes of Forest and Man United probably would, and that's where I wouldn't be surprised if we raised our level a bit more and were able to get results. And we've got to get into the habit away from home of getting scrappy 1-0 wins or scrappy 1-1 0-0 draws and whatever else. Well, it's probably going to be 1-1, so I don't expect many clean sheets this year, to be honest. But like even just getting points away from home in an ugly fashion, and like I said before, the one thing I don't want to rely on is saying, "Oh, it's all right, we'll just win our home games." That's very difficult to rely on that to keep yourselves up. So we need to try and get the odd points here and there away from home. So we'll wait and see. It's a long, like we said, it's a lot. As Mike said, if you offered me the position we're in now, if you offered me 2 wins and a loss, I would have absolutely snapped your hand off for that before West Ham, because I didn't know what to expect. I don't think a lot of, other than it was going to be hard, but I didn't know what to expect from us. I didn't know how we were going to react to how we've done so far. The encouraging thing for me is we responded to Burnley by beating Brentford. So I think that that's a really important thing. Even if we've got a point against Brentford, in truth, I don't think it would have been the end of the world. But the win makes it a little bit better. And I just think we know I think we are expecting a wobble at some point this season. It is the Premier League, but the more points you can get on the board if you can early doors, the better.
Definitely. I mean, we proved that last season with a terrible end to the season, but enough points.
Tactical end to the season.
Yeah. Tactical end to the season.
Tactical rotation.
So the team against Brentford, just as a quick reminder, was Roofs, Hume, Nordi, Alderete, Rinaldo, Diarra, Xhaka, Siddiqui, Talbi, Mayenda, Lafi starting. What's changing for you coming into this game, if anything? Conrad?
A Dingra for Talbi, and apart from that, I'm sort of set. There is, but I know we mentioned before about the striker. Who do you go with up front? Do you throw Brobby in? Does Isidore get in because he's on flames at the minute, or do we stick with what we've been doing for 3 games so far? The striker's the hardest thing to predict, but if it was me, a Dingra comes in for Talbi on the right side. I'd kind of want to throw Brobby in more so to be like, everyone get used to him, because Villa's going to be a big game for us as well the week after. Or is it Villa or Forest after? Sorry.
No, it's Villa.
It's Villa, yeah. Especially in the form that Villa are in, and their defence looks a bit shaky. It's almost like, come on, like Brobby, you need to get the experience of this for that game as well. And if you do anything in the Palace game, fantastic.
Yeah.
For me, I would say probably Brobby up front, just because I think we will need a focal point. And I think especially with how our attack is mainly based on transition and on the counter, I think that Brobby will be massive. If we're holding the ball up for getting, say, Talbi or Traore or Lafay or Adingra, whoever's going to be out wide, to get them into the game, more, how we phrase that, really help them get even more into the game than they have been. So I do take Conrad's point about the Villa game, I think, as well. But at the same time, I would be absolutely staggered if Villa finished anywhere near where they are. I still think
absolutely. It's
don't
a
get me wrong.
start.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely, of course. Yeah, I mean, they have started poorly, of course, but I'm not gonna lie. And this might sound negative, but if you offered me a point against Villa, I'd still probably take it, because it's still, if you look through Villa's squad, it's still full of like international talent. It's still full of really fascinating players. I mean, but then again, you look at it. I mean, I don't want to credit Newcastle too much, but if you look on the opening day of the season, even before the red card, Newcastle battered Villa from what I saw in the first half. Palace obviously put 3 past them, so obviously I'm aware Palace are a really good team. So, but you're all right. I mean, look, it's going to be it's an interesting set of games coming up now compared to what we've had. And don't get me wrong, we've had a kindest start of the season, in terms of the fixtures. There you go. Lafay will probably no, I say that just to annoy him. But yeah, there's Lafay. But no, like I think. Well, let's use this then. What would you see would be an acceptable points tally out of this month? So it's Palace, Villa, Forest, basically.
For the next 3?
Yeah. I'll include Man United in there, because that goes to the next international break. So for Palace, Villa, Forest, Man U.
9 points.
Fair play to you if we get that. I'd be absolutely amazed if we get anywhere near
United's
that.
easy. United's 3 points in the
United's
bag.
the guarantee. Yeah.
Is that because Ahmad Diallo's? Is that because Ahmad's going to feel sorry for us and put a couple in his
Yeah.
own net to keep us up, and then
He's
he
going
wants
to
to
do like
a,
he's going to score an own goal and like rip his shirt off and have this season's like.
Ahmad, you're
one
playing
off
for
of
Man
us.
United.
Yeah.
But these fans singing my name. I'm signing for these next summer.
I mean, 9 points is my optimistic one, obviously, but I think
If you got 4 or 5, I'd be very happy with that.
6 would be probably my. I'll be happy with 6. 4 probably is more likely, but I'd be happy with 6.
I'd at this point I would take 4, but I think 5 and 6 is no. Sorry, I think 4 is more likely. I would prefer 5, 6. You know, upwards.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I prefer 12, but it's probably not going to happen, is it?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I think we get a point here. I think we have to try and beat Villa at home. Forest is interesting because of the Ange thing and how much of a sort of change is he going to make to them. And then Man United.
Can I just add to your point, Conrad? Sorry to interrupt, but I can just add. A few days before they play us, they play Real Betis in the Europa League away.
Who's that? Sorry, Villa.
No, that's Forest. Forest go
Forest.
to Betis 3 days before they play Sunderland. So that could
we're
be
the Saturday night game, aren't we, against them?
Yes, Saturday 5:30, isn't it?
And are they a Thursday night team?
No, they're playing on the Wednesday.
Oh, bollocks. I thought that would like properly screw them over.
Well, the thing is, if they played on the Thursday, it would have been moved to the Sunday, our game.
Yeah.
I would have preferred it to have been Thursday to Saturday so they could be screwed. But yeah. Can't have everything.
People are arguing about how you say Lafie now. It's Enzo Lafie. It's not Lafie.
Did I just see Lafie? It sounds like
Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi.
So, regardless of how many points over the next game, let's just concentrate on the over the next 4. Let's concentrate on the next game. I want score predictions. We've already had a 2-0 SAFC from Steve. Gary said he'd be happy with a 2-2 draw away. So, Conrad, give us yours.
I've gone Jack Ross special, the 1-1.
1-1. Oof.
I
Michael?
think we're defensively sound, so is the risk of saying that early on. I think defensively we're a lot better than people
Don't
make
worry,
out.
I'm touching every bit of wood going. So
I just think I think we scored, but I don't see us holding out to not concede against them either.
Do you want my head or my heart or both?
Both.
Right. Well, Mike's going to really hate my head prediction. My head says we probably lose 2-0 because I'm trying to be realistic. Mind you, 1-1's not. I wouldn't be totally shocked if we got a point. To be fair, I'll say my head says 2-0 in the hope that's wrong. Screw it. My heart's going to say 1-0 Sunderland. It's going to be an absolutely brilliant Reggie masterclass away from home. But to be fair, if you offered me what Conrad says 1-1, I'd take that right now personally.
Well, I'm going for a 3-0 win.
We'll win 3-0 or something.
I'm going to go for a 3-0 win.
Oh, God.
3-0 win. This is not just a case of I'm saying 3-0 every time, because I'm certainly not, but it's Sunderland and we perform against good teams. And I do think Palace is a good team, but I think there's gaps in their team that we could exploit. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win.
Okay, I'll tell you
and because the powers above want me, Blobby, to score 3 goals so I can play this 3 times. Never gets old. Never gets old.
Conrad's going to be like, can you please make sure I'm out of the room when you play that?
Ian Brown's gone 1-1. Never back against SAFC unless we play City or Liverpool. D Hall says 3-2 to Sunderland. 3-2. Ripsaw said I put 20 quid on the lads winning the final whistle against Brentford. Still think it's a good investment.
Hopefully. To be fair, though, I think one of the things that is quite well, put it this way: Palace haven't
Mike is
mad. What you should say is, I am. I'm mad. I'm a Diallo. So to be fair, right? Yeah, I think to be fair, well, Palace are unbeaten, aren't they? They haven't lost a game yet in the Prem. So there you go. There's my reverse psychology attempt to try and hope that comes on Saturday.
Tam says CP feels like the first real test. I thought West Ham would have been that technically.
No,
West Ham. But if you look at the league, though, like, did you see West Ham winning 3-0 at Nottingham Forest? Did you see Brentford beating Aston Villa at the time? I didn't. So no game's going to be like straightforward as that. I think for me, if we get something and the likes of Wolves and Burnley and robbery, I love how we said that. But like if the likes of Wolves, West Ham, Burnley, Leeds, and Brentford and all that lose, if they lost and we drew, I'd be over the moon.
Lots of people are saying for the win, and lots of people going for the draws. So
well, as long as we get something, I'll be okay.
It will be interesting. It will be interesting. Was there anything more, Conrad? Because my notes have ended.
No, I think that's really good. Just thank you all for joining us. Do like and subscribe. I don't know if we've said that so far. And obviously go over to Michael Bowers' channel and give him some love as well. Like and subscribe over there.
And thanks very much for having me on. It's been a really good chat.
Talk.
Talk. I was going to say chat or talk, and I've just mixed the two words together. So yeah, talk. Yeah, there you go.
And can I say,
it's been a very good chat. I've enjoyed it.
Can I say, Michael, it's the best I've seen your internet connection for an hour and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
No, see, because I'm not on Fan TV anymore, I've literally just saved it for when I'm on here instead.
Yeah.
All right. So when you go on there, you just put the dial up in.
You can blame my shite internet connection for the fact we were in League One. Now we're in the Premier League. It's Premier League level internet.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh God, Conrad will remember those days when we had to sit there and do commentary of what was it when we're
Gillingham was away and Doncaster.
You're drawing 3-3 away at 3-3 at home to Accrington and losing to Lincoln in the playoffs, and no wonder the internet was probably didn't want to hear what I was shouting and swearing.
It was going, look, I'm doing you a favour, lads. I'll turn it off.
Yeah, pretty much. But can you actually believe, though, by the way, that was 4 years ago?
No, not at all, man. Especially what was that one season we played Accrington 5 times in one season or something? It was just never again, please.
Stop talking about it. It's never to happen again. We are now Premier League.
Mike, in the cup. Accrington away in the third round of the FA Cup. In the cup, it's fine. I just don't want to play them in the league ever again.
We don't do cups. We don't, clearly.
well, yeah. True, probably not. Actually,
we're saving ourselves for Europe. It's fine. It's get all your passports.
Well, I told you we'll be on enough points by the time the FA Cup starts to make sure that we've already pissed survival, and then we'll go for an FA Cup run, win the FA Cup, and we'll get our passports out anyway.
Sounds good to me. Sounds like a plan.
I knew it would.
Lads trip. Let's get it sorted. Right. Thank you everyone for joining us. It's been much appreciated. Don't forget to smash the like button if you haven't already. Go and check out Michael Bowers' channel. You see regular updates there, and usually very honest updates straight after the match, like outside the stadium, which I always love to see. So make sure you don't miss out on them. Go and subscribe and hit the bell on his channel as well as ours. Thanks very much. Conrad, would you like to say goodbye to the millions of viewers?
Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all the next one. We are doing a live stream on Saturday, Mike, I believe, aren't you? So
yes.
Keep an eye on the channel. There'll be a match preview coming up this week with a Crystal Palace fan. Keep an eye out for that one.
Sounds good. Would you like to say goodbye, Mr. Bowers?
Goodbye, Mr. Bowers. Thanks for having me on. And let's hope in a few weeks' time, Mike is going to sit there with the biggest, smuggest grin on his face and go, I told you we'd get 9 points.
I predicted the Ballard goal. Mystic Mike, you need to trust
Mystic Mike, all right then. Let's hope so. But thank you for having me on. Been really good.
See you later, guys.
Bye now.